Welcome to Godot Unscripted, a podcast on the Godot ecosystem. Aujourd'hui, on this beautiful podcast, we have the one and only artist, developer, musician, and everything in between, Antoine, creator of Tiny Tall Gleipnir and the upcoming Isoterick, a technical dungeon crawler where you have to vanquish demons you accidentally invited into the magic school. Whoops. Antoine, how the hell are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me, Daniel.
Thank you for being here today. Where to start? I want to get all the way back into the beginning. What got you into games?
Oh, well, I think that's mostly the same for everyone. I played them a lot when I was young, obviously. I started with, I think it was a Mega Drive, my brother's Mega Drive, which I think is called the Genesis in the US. And I played a lot of Streets of Rage, Golden Axe, and of course a lot of Sonic, because that's the path you had to work on when you had a Sega machine, and not a Nintendo. And soon after that, I very quickly found ways, at first to animate with MS Paint. I was just making frame by frame little animations and just skipping through the picture files in the preview to attempt to animate, but I was like 10 or something like that. And whenever I got to do something even remotely interactive, I was very, very hyped. So I guess that's the origin story of the hobby, because it's still a hobby for me, unfortunately.
Yeah, I love it that it's the. You have the same approach, or that's the same thing I love about games, right? Something interactive that people can interact with and just make mistakes, enjoy it, have moments.
Yeah, discover a story you've written without exactly knowing how it's going to go, and with no really way to skip ahead and to see, oh yeah, that's what you wanted to tell. That's a lot of things I really like, because I think a big motivation for me was to amuse my older brothers. That's I'm the third child and third brother, and I really wanted to impress and amuse them, and I think that's been a drive that it's probably still active nowadays.
Years later, you're like, check it out, guys.
yeah, I keep sending them builds for my games on WhatsApp, and also
on WhatsApp. What the? Okay, that's
crazy. The family WhatsApp,
Just spam it with builds.
Yeah. Check out my latest project,
I love that. So you started with animation already at such a young age?
Yes, because I loved computers. I always did. My biggest dream when I was young was to have a computer in my room. It took a lot of fighting, a lot of convincing to finally get one. But once I had one, man, it was finished. I spent my days on MS Paint. Years later, there was Warcraft 3 came out, and likewise, I spent a lot of time drawing skins for the 3D models, making maps that went nowhere, and just tinkering. A lot of tinkering.
Yeah, having fun.
Yeah.
Did you also do some 3D modeling?
Barely. I barely did. I did very few 3D because it just I never could quite get into it. Later, I did some SketchUp modeling just for reference for illustrations, but even that I would not really call 3D. It was like bashing cubes together to get an idea of the perspective, and also it's not. I've never been able to break into 3D, and I tried a lot of times.
Same.
Yeah, it's just impossible, 3 dimensions. That's one too many.
I even took I bought a book to learn.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, really good book from Armin Halleck. Hope I'm pronouncing that right. But it's just, at the end of the day, everything's work, right? And you got to find out which work you can do mentally.
Yeah.
It's just like, no, I can't.
That's just not for me.
Exactly, just not for me.
The thing is, I remain convinced that it's not possible for anyone. In spite of the evidence online that some people can do it, I still don't think it's possible.
That's why you never see those people in real life.
Yeah, I never met a 3D artist.
Oh, and I wanted to ask: are there any other artists in your family, or are you the first of your kind?
My brother is jazz guitarist, and he can draw very well, but he never does.
Hmm.
Uh, and that's not really something we do. But my father is very, very. He's not an artist, but he's a tinkerer. You know, he has a workshop that he built, and then
Yeah.
it was too small, so he built another one. And
Okay.
he started building model planes, and then he started building the machines to build model planes. You know, he's very, very, very into making stuff. You know, he's like what we call today a maker. You know, those
Yeah.
people with 3D printers and all.
You
Except
should
he
show him
tends to.
Factorio. Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
3D printers.
Yes, well, he's one man factory, you know.
Hmm.
And whenever he gets a new hobby, he just like goes right into it. And these days it's mostly pastry, so that's good.
Yeah.
But
So,
yeah, that's my family history of making stuff, I guess.
I mean, it tracks, right? That's how you have some of your amazing qualities, which we'll get into.
No,
But first, I want to
we don't
so
have
walk.
to.
Yeah, walk me through how you started evolving. Like you started animating, then you were in school, college. How did these skills develop, and what did you know? Like this is
They
what you
did
wanted
not.
to do.
They
What?
did not, and I did not. Because the thing is, I used to draw a lot when I was a kid, obviously, like
Yeah.
lots of kids do. I also made some music, some electronic music, which I did, you know, much more than drawing, actually. But then I just went into marketing studies for for like 5 years.
Oh no. I mean,
Yeah.
oh yes, maybe.
Oh no, it was not a good idea. So I did that for like 5 years. I've got a master's degree in corporate communication, which is something
Ooh.
that's it's not a fact that you know and you have to deal with.
Yeah, so you're a LinkedIn expert, basically.
Absolutely, I do have an account, but I forgot my password and I forget it every 6 months.
That's not very corporate of you.
Oh no, it's not. But you know, that's like I'm 35, so it was like 10 years ago, I think 10, 15 years ago. So
Oh,
you know,
Jesus.
lots of my knowledge in corporate communication is like you have to print flyers and maybe, you know, do
Oh,
a spot on
no.
TV.
Jesus.
It's outdated to be generous. You know?
Yeah.
So I did that for a couple of years. And then I went into an art school because I figured, you know, I had a small job in corporate communication. I was just drawing all the time. And my colleagues just said, you know, you're not very good at this, so maybe you should try something else.
Assholes.
Well, they were right. So
I mean, yeah. I guess
I was
to
just
put it like that.
I was just finding ways, you know, to fuck off back in the storage rooms just to draw and read Warhammer books. So you know, it was not.
Ah,
I was
okay,
not a
fair,
good
fair.
colleague. I was not a good colleague, and so I tried an art school, which took 3 years, and I wanted to do the illustration course there to follow the illustration specialty, but it turned out it was full, so I went into comics, and I did enjoy comics, so that's what I did afterwards. I managed to land a pretty good freelance contract into comics that's been going for like 6 or 7 years.
Nice.
So that's my day job. But just after finishing art school, I had the end of year project, which was a comic that was called Gleipnir. So you might have seen that was the first game I made, because when I had my final exam for that project, one of the jury said, you know, your backgrounds, they made me think of Monkey Island. So I went, oh,
Yeah.
they do. And just after that, I decided to try and make an adventure game myself. So that's why Gleipnir exists.
That's crazy. And that was the first game you ever did and your first foray into programming?
Exactly. Well, not exactly the first foray into programming, because my dad, him again, when I was when I was like 10, he showed me Pascal code, just, you know, for fun. And I did enjoy writing little useless chatbots, you know, that really was, there was no automation. Like you typed hello and it went into like, read hello, say hello. So you know, it was very, very simple. But
Yeah.
I did enjoy, writing little things, and that was my real first programming experience. But it never really went anywhere.
Oh my god! But I find it amazing that that your first ever game you published directly to Steam, no fear, no nothing.
Well, there were some steps on that way, some hurdles, you might say.
Tell me about them.
Well, the thing is, I just wanted to. I started making it, and I had a great time making it. About a third of the way in, I thought, oh well, maybe people would actually buy that. Maybe it could be an actual game. So I went and I did a Kickstarter for it. For I think it was 7,000, something like that, euros, which at the time was, I don't know, it translated to 10 million euros now with inflation. But I tried that and it failed. It was I think the end result was 6,500, something like that, and I had already put in my own participation, so it was there was no way for me to add more. But it did get me noticed by a publisher, Plugin Digital, and they put it up the cash to make me to allow me to finish the game and to publish it. So that's how it got made.
Amazing. And so before you actually started making this game, how did you look at engines? How did you learn programming? How did you put yourself through this actually?
Yeah, I looked at I think 2 or 3 engines. I looked at I think it was Wintermute and Visionaire Studio, and I went with that latter one because they promised a code-free experience. You were able to do a lot of things in the editor, and I thought, yeah, well, I'm not a coder, so that seems like a good solution for me. And but in the end, if you really wanted to do what you want, you had a precise results in mind, you did have to do some coding, and piece by piece, that's how I learned how to copy someone else's code and write my own. So that's how it took a long time. I think the development for the first game was 4 or 5 years, something very long for a small scale game, and that's why it was long.
Crazy, but you must have learned so much, no?
Yeah, I did. I did learn a lot, but I learned things in a very convoluted sort of way because since I tried to avoid code, and since the engine itself started to avoid coding, it was very, very I bent the rules of the engine permanently. I was just making things work that should not have been working that way. It was very, very, very messy, and it's actually a miracle that it works, that people are able to play it, and that they enjoy it is even something I still don't understand. I mean, it's not my place to say this, but it's amazing to me. It's a miracle.
Yeah. Same. I'm very
but
impressed.
It's something, yeah. When you release a game and people like it, and when you have in mind all the little trickery you use, it's a panic-inducing,
You're like, how is this working?
It should not be working.
Exactly. 92%
It doesn't
positive.
deserve to be working.
Oh, I know that feeling so much. But it did well, and I'm so happy for you. And I also wanted to ask you, did you speak German?
I did not, but my brother, the older brother, he's in you may know, in Alsace, the eastern region of France. So he does teach both in French and German, and it was a fun project for him to actually try and translate a full game. So that's how it came out. I think some German native speakers had some issues with the translation, but he got better since then.
Close enough.
Yeah, it's understandable.
Okay. So after you created this game, you were like, oh, okay, I'm done with games, right?
I was done with a lot of things at this point, but because it's the fun part of the story is that right after making this game, I got very, very ill. Very, very seriously ill, and that has kept me busy for a good, let me say, 4 or 5 years. It was a long-term illness, which I still do have. It's I have no mystery. It's MS, you might know.
Oh shit! I'm so sorry, man.
No, it's okay. So that's what I've been dealing with since, but now it's stabilized, and I found some ways to get some new a very serious illness still, and so it's all good.
Okay, that's good, especially because medicine is also advancing quickly, and I've seen a lot of positive news about it.
Yeah, but a lot of it is like we're going to find a vaccine. I'm like, yeah, good. Find it earlier,
Yeah,
Okay,
get on
got the
it,
stuff.
guys.
It's
Chop,
too
chop.
late.
Because I also saw on your Blue Sky that you had bronchitis and something with your lungs, and I was
Yes.
like, "What's going on?"
Oh yes, because well, it's going to be the fun medical part of the podcast. But in a few words, when you get MS, the treatment is like it's immunosuppressants, and as it turns out, my immunosuppressants were immunokillers, which we had no idea about. So, I mean, the disease has been completely stabilized. However, I also lost entirely my immune system in the process, and it has not come back, and it likely won't. So that's my new that's my new advert. No, it won't. So but it's with medicine today, and we still have a healthcare system here, somewhat. It's under attack, like it is everywhere else in the world, but we do have it. So we.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, I was just thinking because I'm also on immunosuppressants. I have Crohn's. My grandma used to have MS. Yeah. And I think my grandpa has this immune disease on the skin. I forgot what it's called.
Yes, I don't remember this one.
Yeah, my medicine was not so good, but now I'm killing. Hopefully it starts back up somehow, man.
Yeah, it's supposed to just be suppressing it. It's not. It's like very, very rare for it to be actually to go be above and beyond its little mission. So you should be okay. I think it's not the same drugs. Mine was like something almost experimental, I want to say, and well, experiment failed, I guess.
Science learned something that day.
Yeah, they're going to give my name to something, I don't know.
Yeah. So connecting back to this, how has this affected your development of projects?
Really planning to do a part 2 to Gleipnir. The story somewhat ends abruptly, and I wanted to do the rest of the story. And I actually started. I have a very advanced prototype of part 2, but it's been painful on a lot of fronts, like to just dive back into this and which engine I'm going to use and all that, and what conditions did I leave the project in, because it was I did not stop by choice. I stopped because I had to. Yeah. So that's why I mean, it's a great memory for me for like having done Gleipnir, but it's almost like bittersweet at this point due to all that has followed. And in the meantime, I know that I owe the people that played it an end to the story. So I do have a prototype. I think I will do it someday. But since my day job is in something not related to game dev, I feel like I keep game dev these days something like safe and fun for me. And right now, Gleipnir was neither of those. Well, it was always fun to make, but it's been a bit like I needed a project that was a bit more fresh, new, and
I know what you mean.
Untied to anything, yes, with no baggage in a way.
Yeah, exactly. Like with the responsibilities start piling up, and then you develop it out of a sense of duty and not passion anymore, and it's different feeling, right?
Exactly, and there's a legacy of a lot of the previous content that I have to deal with. So that's I will have the I will do it, but I will do it later.
Yeah, someday. I was about to say, okay, I understand all the questions, but how is it a question what engine to use? We're on the Godot podcast,
Of course.
Come on.
We are. I'm going to get killed if I don't tell that Godot is the best. It's best.
We're sending our Go. What? Oh my God! No, I don't want to get canceled. But Go. That's what's Godot. No, wait. There's a joke somewhere there. I can't find it.
We'll workshop it.
Exactly.
Well, so why Godot? I'm sorry. I mean, I did choose Godot out of a very, very large panel of engines because I never tried anything else. So it's the one engine I know now, and I know barely because I started it last year. But it's like it's how I chose it. I was actually put on its scent by a friend of mine on the the group chat. We all have one. Who's been making
the
a lot of
chat.
yeah. It's an essential tool for everyone involved in dev or anything. You have to have a group chat to bounce ideas and like to bully you into making good things. And so this friend of mine has been working in Godot for like years now. You probably know his project because he recently released Broken Lens. He's the Hep team. I don't remember the studio names, but he's Hep to me. And yes, he has released Broken Lens. Before that, it was Run. And he's been very active in telling me that Godot is a good thing. And I brushed it off for a long, long time. Like, yeah, whatever. I'm not a coder. You're a coder, not me. But I did eventually try it, and yeah, I love it.
And you fell in love. Fantastic to hear. That's
really
what
did.
I love. But before we jump into how you started using it, I also want to discuss some of the in-between projects that you had between Gleipnir and Isoterick.
Yes.
Because from what I saw, you'll correct me, on Twitter, there was this where it's like a 2D top-down shooter, steampunk kind of thing. And a Slay the Spire similar game? Yeah, but go ahead.
it's my project that I used to call... well, it has a lot of names on my hard drives. But the one that sticks is the project No Scope, because it has no scope at all.
Shit!
It's the Seinfeld scene. It's a show about nothing. Well, it's a game about everything. So it was a project that had everything in it. It has stealth, it has a narrative layer, it has deck building. It has a lot of things in it, and the thing is, it was entirely done in the point-and-click engine. So that's what I talked about when I said, I was bending the rules of the engine and feeling like the limitations, because it's, I don't know how to describe it, but it's an ungodly mess. The systems inside should not work. Nothing should work like it does, and if I had started it in Godot, I think it would be finished already. Because I was just, rewriting a lot of things. It was really... it was a crazy project. On a lot of fronts, it was a very, very crazy project that I did like as a palette cleanser between Gleipnir and something else. And I mean, it's not a bad game as it is. It's really fun to play. I had a great time playing it myself because I play a lot of my games.
But where can I download it?
Well, I could send you a build if you want, but to be fair, it's really messy on the UX it feels flimsy. It feels a bit like it's going to break at any second. And to be fair, it's going to break.
UX posts. It looks pretty good.
No, it's very, very breakable. And it was basically a very narrative game. It was split in two. You had like a point and click kind of adventure in a village where you had to speak to the people to understand what's going on with the story. And then you had to build a robot and send the robot into a dungeon, and that was a deck building part of the game. And once you lost, you went back to the village, and there you had, depending on what you had unlocked and discovered, you had new dialogues and new experiences to find out about. So that was the plan anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But the core thing was building robots with parts you found in the dungeon.
That sounds dope.
Yeah, it was a fun game. I think if I do finish Isoterick and like get to do another project someday, I would like to do this one, but this time in a proper engine. I mean, the Vision engine I used for the point-and-click games, I think is the best option to anyone who wants to create an adventure game at this time. It's got a very active Discord. People are great there. And to make a point-and-click, it's perfect. It has everything you want to make a great game. But in my case, I think I wanted to go for more systemic designs.
Makes sense. But what do you mean if you finish Isoterick? I'm sure it's coming out soon, no?
Well, you say that, but... Well, I'm reaching a point where I think, and I'm going to curse myself so hard in a few seconds, but I'm reaching a point where all core systems are mostly done, actually. And they are mostly finished. and they are
Ooh.
bug free, and everything works perfectly as it should.
Okay, yeah, you cursed yourself perfect.
Yeah, I
Let's see
just
about that.
I went all in. No, it's finished. It's perfect. The thing is, I have a lot of content to add now, and a lot of debugging, a lot of little things to add and to change. But yes, I'm very close, I think, to what will be called a demo, with a beginning, a middle, and an end. To be honest, these days I mostly play it. Actually, it's the only game I really play actively these days because it's really fun to play.
It looks very fun. The art style is so unique that it seems like a joy to just stay and stare at the screen and click stuff. That's what I wanted to ask you about actually. So let's skip the Slay the Spire clone for now.
Sure.
Because I'm just absolutely impressed at your pace of development. It seems
Oh.
that every few posts that you have, you added a new system, you reworked something, you added stuff. For me, this is insane. Like, seems to me that you're learning at an absurd pace, like programming and game development.
Well, thank you so much to start with. It's very kind of you to say. And it's again, I know, it's like falling forward. I keep I'm tumbling forward endlessly. And whenever I get an idea, I just put it in the game. I do have a game design document, which is one JPEG.
I thought it was the notepad that you have somewhere in a post, like unfuck things.
Oh yeah, I do have this file, and I put little gifs in it and all. So yeah, but yes, I do have a very very I don't know how to say it, but a precise idea of what I want. I want the game to have very precise elements, very precise bits, a very precise feeling. But there's a lot of things that can go in or can go out, and I try to iterate as fast as I can to be able to play it as much as I can, because I like to give every idea a chance to suck, to just put it in the game and all right, do your thing. Let's see if you work, let's see if you don't. I'm going to play you like 10 hours, and in 10 hours I will either discard you, rework you, and just you are now part of the game. So I try to act like that for every idea. And I'm very, very, I don't know how to say this without sounding like a douche. So please forgive me if I do, but I'm very results driven. I like when things move on the screen. To me, it's magical, And
Yeah, that's a hard sentence coming from a corporate guy with a French accent.
I always liked figures,
Exactly. 6 figures to be exact.
KPI,
No, you're triggering me. That's my
No, the thing I like is when the little pictures go boom, and when you see the little animation, when it moves, that's what I enjoy. And that's why every feature I make, I try to make it in a very, very polished way. Because if something does not look good when I play it, even if I know that it's like a work in progress, I just don't feel like finishing it. So it's a bit of a curse, but whenever I add a feature, it's like release ready almost instantly, because I don't want to add it if it's not.
Of course,
so that's been a bit of, I think, the explanation why from the outside it looks like I'm going fast, is because I go very, very messy.
For sure, but when you've implemented so many systems and when the game looks so playable just from the videos, I'm wondering, did you learn Godot in any way, or was it really just documentation and ba ba ba?
The documentation has been a great help, because it's so fantastic. It's a great tool. I love just actually for fun reading articles in the documentation without even needing to. Because that was this way, that was that way. So that has been a great help. And there's also something that I should just find the link to, just to remember their name. But there is a tutorial online that you probably know, because you know better than me over this thing, and I can't find it. But someone made a tutorial that was how to make a Slay the Spire clone.
I love that guy.
Yeah, he's great. His tutorial was so amazing. I followed
Season
it
2.
step by step. It's crazy, because I just I followed this tutorial, and then I followed it a second time with changing things in it, to make my own game. I actually did a little Godot game just after Spring Fortress, which was the doomed project, the doomed everything project. I did a small build for a Godot game, which I called the Goblin Scandal, which was a Slay the Spire clone, except with one twist. But of course, there was a twist. Your HP was your number of cards in your deck.
Ooh.
So whenever you lost HP, it meant you lost a card. So you had to balance, how do you have a lot of cards but have a workable deck and everything. And it was very fun, but also I'm not sure the concept works. So it does. I think I do have a playable build somewhere, but I never quite got very far into the development.
Maybe someday, right?
Yeah, maybe. Who knows?
Exactly. I just wanted to say, sorry, I wanted to say for people listening at home, the name of the channel is Godot Game Lab.
Yes, that's him.
And he did 2 seasons, and I really recommend the channel because they explain the architecture beforehand, thinking about the whole project before getting into it.
Yeah, which is something I do not do.
Me neither, right? Like I didn't know. I'm not a professional software developer, so like seeing how it's actually thought about before really helps you structure a project.
Watching someone who knows what they're doing and knowing that you won't be that competent, but it's like it's amazing to see. It's amazing to see. Like he starts with a state machine for the cards, and like the first thing he's doing, I was just copying without understanding. Only months later, I figured, so that's why he did it that way. So yeah, it's a great tutorial. He says it's intermediate level, but it's the first thing I did on Godot, and it was doable, I think.
You heard it here first. It's doable. No higher recommendation. All right. I want to ask you now, like, what are some of the biggest lessons or challenges you've gone through with Isoterick? I imagine there's a lot, right?
Yes, I think one of the big ones, which might surprise you or not, given the nature of our conversation, is I do have some trouble figuring out whether I have to write an elegant and automated solution to a problem, or if I just have to throw art assets at it until it solves itself. No?
What do you mean, art assets?
Yeah, so like, when you have something like you need to have an icon for a character which has their portrait, but not in the same exact shape, not in the same exact... I just do another asset for the portrait, it's okay. Well, the correct solution would be you have to work in the editor and do the proper scene and the proper nodes, and you have to use the proper resized flags and everything. And I have to find the balance between I can do something like elegant, or I can do something quick. And my tendency is to go for the quick solution rather than the elegant one.
I mean, that makes sense, right? Especially in indie development. And that question never stops, let me tell you. Even at the corporate level where I now work.
Oh no.
Yeah,
it's a balance, But but that's been something I struggle with. And another one that I thought, like, just this morning, whenever I add a system or I try to think about a system, I start thinking about all the edge cases it will have to, it will trigger, all the little problems, little bugs. But what if it happens right after that? And I think that's too much for to think about. So what I do now is that if it's very like an egregious bug or something that's going to be a real problem, I write it down for later. But mostly I just try to forget about them and fix bugs when they happen, not before. So I don't know if it's good, if it's a good lesson, but that's the only way. As a solo dev, I think it's something you have to be wary about. It's the ecology of thoughts, and some thoughts do not have to be acted upon.
Intrusive thoughts.
Yeah, exactly.
I've seen a little bit throughout your history that you're currently looking for a publisher as well for this game.
I am, yes. Well, I've been sending a lot of pitches, getting various replies that are mostly either no replies or just polite no's, because it's not easy to find a publisher when you your relative. I'm not a very experienced dev from the point of view. I mean, I did only ship one game, which was a completely different game. And it's a bit of a difficult market, I think, these days to find funding for anything, games or not. So,
but if any game can find it, it's yours.
Well, you think so? Well,
I mean, because of the art style, but you're already very good at making yourself visible, right? It's like a publisher seeing this. A lot of the time, when you contact them, they'll reject you. But if
that's
they
the
see
5 years of marketing.
Yeah, how do you do that, by the way? Is it on purpose that you stay like, so I have to do marketing today? Or are you just happy to share with others?
The thing is, I spent like 10 years on Twitter, tweeting in French, mostly, because that's my native tongue.
22,000 posts I saw.
Yeah, I did a lot of them. And I slowly realized that I know I have an accent that is, border on the incomprehensible, but the thing is, I don't really like to post in French anything. It's not something I'm comfortable with. I tend not to write in French. When I write projects for myself, it's always in English. When I read, it's always in English. So the switch to Blue Sky was actually a great thing for me because it was like a clean slate. And I decided, okay, so for Blue Sky, I will only post in English because it's more fun to me. So posting things about my game on Blue Sky is fun. Like every time I do a little post with a little formulation, little phrase, it's like I'm giggling. So so that's been a big motivation for me to like stay active and visible. And I whatever I may say, I do enjoy communication. It's not something I reject entirely. So I just don't want to do it for like horrible brands or something terrible that like I used to do.
Yeah, of course. I mean, but you still got that corporate experience. You can always print out flyers, right?
To be fair, I only worked for like cultural events or cultural things. So it was not like I was like working for the evil corporation.
E-Corp.
Yeah.
But in either case, right, you have close to 4,000 followers here, and then on Twitter 6,000. So, I mean, broad strokes 10,000. Of course, I'm like, there's a huge overlap probably. But when you post your actual Steam page, you'll get a ton of wish lists. So that's already, you're doing good work for yourself, right? Even if you decide to be independent.
Yes, that's the thing. What I try to do, I'm looking for funding, of course, but I try also to envision the fact that I may not get any funding. So what do I do in this case? Do I drop everything or not? So for Isoterick, I think that it's a good game. I think there's a good game somewhere in there. So whatever I do, I guess I think I will finish it. And if I have to self-publish and do it myself, well, I better have some, the backbone of some sort of community, some sort of, being somewhat visible, because the 3.7K, I think it's not a lot of views, but it's something. So that's been my, well, I would not say goal, but it's something that I've been thinking about. How do you exist with or without the help of a publisher? So, and I think also it's probably reassuring for a publisher to see that someone already has a bit of a following. And to be honest, it should not work that way, but it does. So it's the same in comics. There's a lot of comic publishers that will not publish you if you do not have a following. Thankfully, I'm not in that kind of scenario when I work with my main publisher, but that's something that's very real, and I don't think it should work that way. But it does.
It does. It is how it currently is. What can you do?
Yeah.
But I wanted to ask, if you're currently working on this game, like for fun in your free time, the only support you currently need from a publisher is funding?
Yes, because the thing is, my main job still is like a freelance kind of job. I'm still I'm a writer, so I have a very steady gig with my publisher, but it's very I don't know how to say this, but modulable. I think I can like take more work or take less, and I think if I manage to get funding for my game, I can take less work with my publisher and like allocate more of my time to the development of the game. Because right now, as you said, I only work like at night mostly, when my daughter is sleeping.
Yeah, we didn't even get into that. Okay, but first of all, you say only. I see progress, consistency, right?
Yeah, but it's not a. I spend most of my days working my main jobs, not this one. So it's something I do on the side. So the kind of progress, I think it's also something that helps actually, because when I'm working on my main job, I may be thinking 60% about what I'm doing for the job, and there's 40% in the background that's like, how I'm going to solve this for my silly little project. So that's something that's been a great help, because sometimes you have to let things cook a bit in your head before grabbing the keyboard and starting to type up fucked up code.
Exactly. Let him cook.
I said it.
I'm wondering, like, how do you balance this? Like, how many hours of work do you get done per day? Like, with having a family, with your job?
It depends, because sometimes it does bleed a bit on the. Don't tell my publisher, but it does bleed a bit on the work hours. So it really depends on. Also, as I've said, I'm really result driven. So if I have something fun that's going on the game, like these days, I have something very fun that's going on. I'm working on the high scores and the biome switch between first and second biome. So that's something that's been stressing me out for months.
Oh, shit.
So yeah, this morning I only did that. I never even opened my work document. So it does bleed a bit on the day job, but since both are freelance in a way, I can make space here, make space there, and somehow please both, in a way.
As long as you deliver, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's they're not concerned with what I do with my time, as long as the things get there. And it's mostly a writing job, so it's something that can take a lot of time and can be very, very quick. I do script doctoring and I do comics writing, not drawing, just writings. So that's been that can take a lot of time, but it also can take lots of passive time, like time when you don't actually have to do it, but you have to think about it. So when I do art assets, for instance, I can think about my day job too. So it's balancing itself very, very smoothly, and I feel very lucky about it.
That's how we're supposed to be as humans, right? Because you can't just only focus on one thing. You need to do 3 or 4.
Exactly.
And then, alternate. So everything, as you say, can marinate a little bit. It can cook.
Yeah, and that's something that's great about being a solo dev, because when you're working like on the art, you can be thinking about the code, and when you're tired with the code, you can start thinking about the music, and it's you can go from one thing on the other, and you're never bored. So that's great.
You say that, but it's because you can do art. I struggle.
Well, you can too.
True.
Everybody can. Yeah, that's another question, but everybody can.
Fair.
I'm still not convinced that my art is good, but I did get, even the publisher that said no to the project told me, but the art is great. The art is great. It's just not in our lineup. It's not the kind of game we're looking for right now. But the art is great. So there was just one publisher that I won't name, because they are doing very cool stuff and everything, and I have no grudge or anything. It's just a fun story. They publish mostly a turn-based game, and they said no to the project. And they said, we feel like the art might be a turn-off for our audience.
Oh,
so
boy.
That was the one publisher I had faith in for this project. But it's fine. I mean, yeah. I get it.
Probably
it's
more
not for everyone.
Focused. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it is.
But that's really how you know. That's how you know you're an artist, right? If you say like, my art is not good, that's a true artist that always doubts the beauty of their art.
I do know of an artist that thinks their art rule, which is good, because it does.
It's the first artist I've ever heard of. What?
Yeah, but he's an old, he's an old French guy, so of course he does.
Those Frenchies.
Yeah, terrible people.
I'm gonna get what do you call it? A thing in the podcast for being a Frenchie hater. I'm kidding. I love French.
Well, you're allowed to. I'm French, so it's fine.
Okay, there we go. It's fine. And I recently became German, so it's even funnier.
Well, perfect.
Yeah.
there has been no instance in history of any hatred between Germans and French. It has
Interesting.
never happened.
This podcast has been canceled. I also wanted to ask you how having a daughter has changed your productivity in general. Do you think you're more effective because you have less time to like dick around, or?
Exactly. That's you had the perfect answer, because that's exactly it. It's like whenever I get to actually have some time working on the game, I'm very, very, very efficient, because I know I don't have a lot of time, and also because I've been thinking about it. Because I'm not saying that when I'm with my daughter, I only think about my game, but there's a point where, when something is happening that you have no business like being active in, like, she's doing something and she does not want you to intervene or anything. Well, you do have time to think about something else. So I have spent, like, when she was very young, because she's almost 2 now, when she was a couple of months old, like, I had to take her in my arms and walk around the room so she could get some sleep. And when you're walking with your baby in your arms, so you go, oh, she's very cute for a while. And then after the 1 hour mark, you say, I wonder if I do a system. I wonder if I'd work with this node. So you do get a lot of time to think about other things and to figure out the system, to figure out solutions. And, you're always active wherever you want it or not in your head. So whenever I do get to sit down in front of the engine, well, I do have a lot of solutions already written in my head. So there are points where, it's suddenly quiet in the house, and I sit down, and then I open Godot, and instantly, like, I type extremely quickly, like 2 or 3 lines of, blocks of code, and it works. I do not even test it. It just works instantly because I already in my head tested it 1,000 times, and I envisioned all possible scenarios of it fucking it all up, and it does not. So.
What is this big brain scenario? Is this propaganda? Should I have a kid?
Well,
maybe it will make me more productive.
But it's something to think about, because not necessarily having a kid, because that's a bit of an extreme solution to fix a code issue, but you can also, like, take a walk or do something else, and while you're doing something else, and wait, you cannot actually try things while you're going to try them in your head, and you do find a lot of solutions that way. Well, at least I do. It might not be for everyone.
Nice. No, but I think it works out.
It's like,
I'm wondering, because I'm currently struggling with motivation with my project, and I'm like, maybe I should have a kid.
Well, I don't know if you maybe you should. I don't know if you played Disco Elysium.
Yeah, I did.
There is the internalized thought, when you get a new thought you get put in the cabinet, and you internalize it, and you have to, the character does other things, and then after a while you unlock something about that thought that you internalized. And I think it works the same for coding issues. You can internalize them, do something else, and they will solve themselves in your head.
Nice,
at least it worked for me.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about it. It's pretty cool. Maybe I should do that tutorial again, just from zero to completeness.
It's really good. I had and he has a very soothing voice. It's almost ASMR,
For your daughter or for you? All right. I think that is a good note to end on. So Please plug your stuff. Where can we buy you? Not you, but your stuff. Where can we help you out? Where can we follow you?
Well, I'm mostly on Blue Sky, so it's going to be pins at PINSSSS, I think. .social.bluesky. That's mostly where I post my things. As you said, I post a lot of things about the game. I don't really post anything else anywhere, and the game does not have a Steam page yet, so I'm pretty poor when it comes to plugging things. But there is my first game, if you're curious about it, which is a point-and-click adventure game called Tiny Tall Gleipnir. But it's often on sale. I don't know if it is now, but it came out in 2018, so it gets on sale very, very often.
Nice. I will definitely add those links in the description. So thank you so much for your time today, Antoine.
Thank you for having me. It was a great time.
Yeah, and thank you to everyone who stopped by to listen. This was Godot Unscripted. Cue free.
I do hope also that I was understandable, because I know my English, and when I get excited and start to speak, it just falls apart. But I tried. I did my best.
Yeah, no, it's completely understandable. It's just a Frenchy accent, right? You just can't get rid of it. But like it has its own charm. It's exotic.
You know, there are things online, there are tutorials online to learn the proper English accent, and it's something like it's like the muscles of the mouth have to be changed and everything. And maybe someday we'll try and do the course. But
have you seen this girl on TikTok that tries to pronounce English songs, but she's got like a super like thick rural French accent?
Oh, I did not. That's great.
I saw like a reel or a TikTok summer once, and she's like super French, and like it's different English words, and like Oreo, and she's like, oh, and it's like it doesn't work. And she has like to do it a lot until it actually works.
That's great. There was that girl also that was saying Japanese things with a Southern American accent. That was great.
Oh, I need to check that out. Hey, and one last thing, because you're talking about publishers, have you checked out Outer Sloth? Maybe they would be.
I did send them something like 4 or 5 months ago, and last week they had last week they had a whole thing, like they said it was 1 year anniversary, and I sent them a blue skies asking us, hey, is something 5 months old dead? And they said, no, absolutely not, it's not dead. We're replaying to very, very slow. And they said, they have a project that took 8 months. They took 8 months to reply, but it was positive. So, I'm quietly holding out hope, I think. But who knows?
Me too. I'll tag them when I make this post.
Oh, you will? Oh, thank you. That's so nice of you.
I mean, if they're on Blue Sky, yeah.
Yes, they are. They're very active there. So, I think Blue Sky is a great platform for game devs.
Absolutely.